you're a founder or a business owner, you probably are familiar with that sort of feast and famine, in the sense where you're in delivery mode and then the pipeline runs dry, the projects come to an end of their delivery. And I was coming to the end of this particular project, or these series of projects, staring down the barrel of a pipeline that was pretty slim, pretty anemic is probably the best word. And I remember having a conversation with my business coach and talking about what I was going to do about the fact that this pipeline was empty, and saying, well, I'm very concerned because, anyone that has any interest in anything is probably not going to want to chat to me until the kids sort of go back to school after the big summer holidays. That right there was what we call in NLP a limiting decision, or a limiting belief. I'd developed this belief that there's no point in actually trying to generate new business during this time because no one's listening anyway. That day, my business coach decided to challenge my thinking on this and said, Shondell, we have our very best time of the year in terms of new business revenue and generating new sales in December, year on year on year. And I thought to myself for a second, well, hang on a minute, how is that possible? And one of the things that I was open to was changing my belief on that. I reached out to people, I connected with them, I talked about some of the things that they'd been wanting to do and how they'd had no time to do them. And some of them, yes, did say that they were, not able to meet with me, but we set up some appointments for when they were back in the office. Getting that momentum and still making that connection made a very big difference to set up my springboard for the next calendar year that was coming up. Now, what was interesting to me was the fact that there were a number of people who were really ready to take action. And so that went and completely crushed that limiting decision that I had, that people weren't interested in starting conversations in that period. And so in the space of 30 days, I went from pretty much a zero pipeline to closing over $60,000 worth of sales in a 30-day period. If that wasn't a convincer for my limiting decision that people weren't buying in that period, then I'm not quite sure what would have collapsed it.